it can be really intense to work, sleep, and see the same people all the time. There's times where I find like pieces of like dolls and you're like, how did this end up here? The forgotten toys that you throw away do not disappear. They end up in the Norwegian coastline. But again, there has been the in the same boat couples that were always like, will there ever be an in the same boat baby? Hopefully.
That kid's not going to have much of a childhood. Ahoy, ahoy to all you smooth sailors out there, and welcome aboard the Deck Tales podcast. I'm your host and captain, Sammy Catlin, and this is where we dive headfirst into life at sea. From stunning destinations to unexpected storms, our guests have stories that will make you laugh, gasp, and maybe even shed a tear. Whether you're a seasoned sea dog or simply curious about life on board, Deck Tales is your boarding pass to a world of nautical narratives. My guest today is Miss Amira Chevrestt, sustainability ambassador, volunteer wrangler, and professional trash hauler. She works with In the Same Boat, sailing through freezing seas, dodging storms, pulling literal tons of marine litter off some of the most remote coastlines, and heads into schools to teach the next generation why the ocean isn't a landfill. This absolute legend has crossed the North Sea, survived ghost pepper initiation shots, and somehow still believes that humanity can get its act together. So let's anchor up and dive right in.
Hi.
Hello, Zamira.
How are you? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. But so how are things over in Norway?
Good, good. Right now we have like an apartment in this town where we keep a lot of like kind of our storage. So I'm just here for a few days and I'll go back to the boat tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, so just taking advantage of some more like my final like stable life with shower and Wi-Fi before
Absolutely.
I join the boats again.
So for the people that don't know, do you want to tell us a little bit about what it is you're doing at sea, your deck tales, where they come from?
Yeah. So my name is Amira and I work for In the Same Boat. In the Same Boat is an environmental NGO that specializes in cleaning the Arctic and north of Europe of marine litter. So we have 4 sailboats and I think now like 7 workboats, but not all of them are like we've had a bunch of tech issues. But basically we just sail along the Norwegian coastline and also outside. So we've gone to the UK and Iceland. We really specialize North Sea and Arctic. And we clean. We clean the coastline of marine litter because you'd be very surprised. This area is very, very polluted. And we also educate, do engaging activities with local communities, but also with companies and the public and government to really try to make a systemic change. Of course, cleaning is really important, but we want to go to the root cause.
Yeah, that's important. Now, that sounds amazing. Well done. But so you're not actually Norwegian. They're a Norwegian company or charity.
Yes. So it is a Norwegian-based NGO, but I'm not Norwegian myself, and a lot of people in the organization are not either. I'm from Spain and the US, and the founder and the CEO are Norwegian, but a lot of our skippers come from other parts of Norway, and most of our volunteers also come from other parts of Norway. So we host volunteers every year that come stay on the boat with us like 2 to 3 months. And it's really cool because you also create an In the Same Boat community. So these people that are usually 20 to 25 come stay with us, and then they get to be ambassadors for like the ocean and nature and go to spread like our mission as well.
Oh, that's amazing. So 20 is the earliest they can do it? What's the youngest people can join in?
18, usually, just because also like legal purposes when they're minors. We've had like a couple because there's like a school in Germany where we've worked with, but it's just usually 18. And just the average people that apply. So we get like hundreds of applications every year. And usually the average is like between 20 and 25.
And what's the oldest volunteer you've had?
We work with a company where they sometimes like send their employees over to just stay with us for 2 weeks. So they get also to engage, and they usually around like maybe 40, 50, but it's very like demanding, challenging work. Like I think when you think of like beach cleaning, you think of a very sandy, flat beach, but like this is really a hardcore, like remote areas where the terrain is really rocky. Sometimes it's like raining and it's so cold. And so it's not for everybody. You do have to be kind of like physically fit. And then there's the part of sailing as well, which is really fun. But Also, not easy to sail in Norway or the North Sea. It's not the Mediterranean.
No. Do you, by any way, do you get seasick?
Yes, unfortunately. I actually have never thrown up yet, which is like, I think it's
Touch
like a
wood.
goal. Yeah, knock
Touch
on
wood.
wood. Yeah. I think it's like such an accomplishment. But at the same time, there's been times where I'm like, I think it would just be better if I could just get it over with. But I have like definitely we crossed the North Sea in April, and that crossing was only 3 days, but it was rough. It was like cold, and I just like felt constantly just like I just felt horrible the whole time.
Was that where in the North Sea then? So what?
So we crossed from Stavanger in Norway to
Oh,
Orkney
yeah.
Islands because we were doing an expedition.
Mm.
And yeah, and that was like a moment where I feel like it happens a lot. I talk about this with my colleagues where while I was in it and I was sick and it was cold and it was dark, I was like, why am I doing this? Like, why would I choose to put myself in this situation? Like, I'm not crossing again. And then the minute the sun comes out or like you see a dolphin and you get to the harbor, you're like, no, 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 this is actually the best thing of my life. You're
Yeah.
just like gaslighting yourself constantly. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
like the way to get through it.
What's like the strongest storm you've been in one of these small little boats? Gale force
Honestly,
ones.
yeah, no, I haven't been like in a gale. Like it really like it hasn't been that strong like in the storms that I've been. I know like maybe my colleagues have, but we usually try to be pretty safe with that. Like we will stay in the harbor if
Right.
it
Because your
gets like
boats,
too rough.
yeah, your boats wouldn't be able to handle it, right? They're small things.
Well, not no. We have a range. So the smallest one is 38 feet, and then we have 43, and then 51, and then 66 feet.
What about berths? How many berths? People that can be
So,
housed on board.
So Kilak, which is the biggest one, is our expedition boat. That one actually can have like 12 people. So that one is our biggest boat. And that boat is made for Arctic expeditions. Like they actually sailed to Svalbard this year.
Mm.
And then the smallest one is just like 5 people, 5 to 6 people. So that one is really small because it's just 38 feet. So compared to our other ones, it's just like the smaller one that we have. But they're not bad. The only thing is like, for example, the boat that we used to cross the North Sea, that one is like a French boat, and it was definitely not made to sail in the North Sea. Like
Mm.
it's like wood and plastic, and you can just hear it cracking, and you're like, this was made to be. It has like a little mini wine cellar, and you're like, this is not meant to be here.
You know, that just reminded me of, I don't know if you saw it yet, the documentary about the submersible that went down to see the Titanic.
I haven't seen the documentary, no.
Because the CEO of the company, he was like adamant about getting it done, and he was cutting
Yeah.
corners and he was ignoring his engineers and stuff. And when they were testing the submersible, and as it was go down, the hull or the shell of the submersible would be like cracking because it was made of like, what was it? Carbon fiber or something.
Yeah,
So you could
okay.
hear all these individual strands popping around his head. And when he had guests in there with him, he was just like, it's okay. It's just the whole seasoning.
Oh no, that's
I
so
mean,
bad.
but you're talking about it with wood
That's
and
so bad.
plastic, probably kind of similar, right? You must be kind of panicked because it could just snap like a
Yeah.
twig.
Yeah, I mean, we are safe, so we do check and like we have like constant overviews. But yeah, I think it's just like the boats, especially because it's a relatively new boat from like 2019, and they just like don't make boats like they used to. Like they just don't last as long. And like we are putting so many nautical miles on it and just making it sail pretty far. And after what, like 5 years, it's just like showing. Like you can just like the wood is kind of expanding and
Yeah.
but well, we are like safe with it, and obviously we wouldn't sail if the boat couldn't. But yeah,
What sort of tech have you got on board these boats?
we usually on our boats we have Starlink as well to be able to be connected in case something happens, obviously. But then we have like our GPS and like chart plotter, and yeah, I guess everything we need for like offshore sailing.
Yeah. The
With that,
basics, but the good
yeah.
basics, the ones that are really necessary. A Starlink must be a game changer as well, right?
Yeah, we just got the Starlink for our expedition boat. We didn't have it before, but on the other one that crosses Svalbard, yes, because especially with the weather, like over here, it's changing. It can change very quickly from like 1 hour to the next. So it is important to kind of keep up to date and know what to expect when you're out at sea.
Absolutely. And so what is it that you do within the company? What's your role?
So an NGO, I think a lot of people that maybe have worked for NGOs can relate to this, but it's still quite small. So we end up kind of all doing a bunch of things. But technically, I'm the volunteer coordinator and sustainability ambassador. So I book the volunteers and assign them to the boats that they have been assigned to. But I'm also like, we call it like sustainability ambassador. So I talk with a lot of companies to try to get partnership because funding is, as most NGOs know, like a really big issue.
Funding is a really big thing.
Yeah, that unfortunately, that's like most NGOs struggle with it. And that's like our biggest obstacle is that we have the manpower. Like we have actually too many volunteers to be able to accept all of them. We have the methodology. We know it works. Now it's just the money to be able to do that because we're the ones taking responsibility for trash that comes from all over the world. I mean, this is not ownerless trash, as a lot of people call it. This is like, it does belong to us as a society worldwide.
Yeah. And so who sparked the company into creation?
So the founder, his name is Rolf Orion Hogseth. So he is the founder of In the Same Boat, and he started in 2017. And he used to actually have like a marketing company. So he would create commercials on products to get people to sell them. And then he went to a beach and started finding those products that he was encouraging people to buy. And he just kind of like made a mental change and was like, I want to be on the right side of this. So then he sold his company. He bought the first boat that we still have, which is the smallest. And he just started with like a group of volunteers kind of going along the coast. And now it's grown to, we have 4 sailboats and we're getting more visibility within Norway, but worldwide. It's really incredible.
And when did it start?
Like how he's been growing.
2017.
Year?
Oh, so it is pretty new. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And since the first cleanup, your first cleanup was when? When did you go out on your first mission?
So like me personally, I haven't been here since 2017. I started out as a volunteer in 2023.
Okay.
So that was like when I joined, and also I didn't have any sailing experience. I just remember I got in and they just kind of put me in a sailboat and I was like, okay, we're sailing 20 hours. And I was like, okay. And it was like, yeah, I was just kind of thrown in, which is, honestly, that's like kind of how we operate, but it works. It works well. And then I remember my first time going cleaning and just really eye-opening because coming from Spain, I think we have this idea that like Norway and north of Europe is really sustainable and really has like their shit together. And of course they're struggling like everybody else, and nature is so polluted. Like I had never seen that much trash before in such remote place.
Well, just going back, I'm surprised at that actually, because you said that, you know, the smallest boat you have is about 6 people. And of those people, you're kind of vetting the volunteers before they come on board. And if it's a small crew like that, you would expect them all to be able to sort of know what they're doing on a boat. But that wasn't the case for you. You didn't know anything about sailing. And so how many people does it take to sail a boat?
Yeah, so a lot of our volunteers sometimes have never been on a boat before. So we have obviously the skippers that are like professionally trained. And then we're not always like, it depends on how long we're sailing. We're not always sailing like super long distances. We cross the North Sea. And we do get volunteers that have other former volunteers that have experience. But a lot of the times, like some of them will know a little bit and then we'll just like get the hang of it. Like the skippers will train them. And then those volunteers that get more comfortable will train the new volunteers that come in. So it can be like sometimes with like new volunteers and not knowing anything. Like now that I've been in it for 2 years, I forget that like once upon a time I didn't know anything. And it's like, yeah, I don't know, you have to go in through the training process. But I think it's also really cool that we give the opportunity to be on the sailboats and you pick it up pretty quickly. It depends on the personality, but I think when you're thrown into it, you're like, okay.
Has anyone been like violently ill and then it's like spread throughout the boat? Yes.
Yeah, we've had like, I mean, you have always like people that are seasick, and it's also really like heartbreaking when you have people that love sailing and just every time the boat moves, they're throwing up. And you're like, and they're trying, and that's really rough. But yeah, there's been like times where even just like if you have bugs on board all of a sudden, then like everybody, and then you have to go through that, or like somebody see like stomach bug and then it kind of goes through the crew, and that's rough.
That yeah. So
Yeah.
what's the old protocol there then? Go back to the mainland. Everyone takes a week in a hotel, quarantines, and then gets back to it, or you just rough it out. Tough.
Yeah. In general, also while I've been here, there hasn't been a huge case where it's really like intense like that, but you kind of rough it out. Like you barely you quarantine yourself as a crew in the boat. Like
Mm.
you're usually in the harbor, and then you just try to be like, we have like kind of strict protocols of trying to be as hygienic as possible and keeping the boat clean. Like we have systems of cleaning weekly and like certain things daily. So that prevents a lot of it from happening. But yes, if a lot of the crew gets sick, then it's just kind of you rough it out together.
Yeah, because obviously once you go out and you do your cleaning, you're dealing with trash, you're picking up bugs from that potentially, and
Yeah.
then you need to get back on board. And I mean, assuming you've got showers or something, otherwise it would be almost impossible, right?
Yes, well, yes, but sometimes it's the ocean. We don't always have access to showers. So sometimes we just have to go in the ocean or outdoor shower or with like the hose. We do have like special cleaning gear that we like rinse and then we keep it outside so it doesn't go inside of the boat ever. Our boots we clean before going in on board and we're wearing gloves. So we do have like kind of protocols for that. And usually nothing like it's really rare that
Yeah.
like a big spread or something like that happens.
So what's the process like? So you arrive at say a beach in the morning, you clean for what, 8 hours?
Yeah, so okay, so usually, so we're sailing as close as possible to our areas. Sometimes we're an anchor, sometimes we're in the harbor, and then we have our work boats that will take the volunteers to the cleaning spots. And usually, you have breakfast at 8, and then you're out at 9, and then you're cleaning until kind of 12. You have a little lunch break, and then you keep cleaning until it depends 3, 4, 5,
Yeah.
sometimes 6 p.m. You come back, unload, and then it's done. But it does depend on the team and like where they are geographically as well. Like there are times where it's really long days where like 12-hour days or like 10-hour days because you have to drive to the picking spot maybe it's a bit later. Also the weather, like
Yep.
this is I think makes it also quite unique what we do because we are restricted with the weather. I mean anybody who works at sea knows that you are not in charge of your timeline. The ocean is.
Hmm.
So you have to go by her timeline. And if you're getting like storms and things like that, then we're out of cleaning. So sometimes if we can see like, especially at summer where you have midnight sun, okay, at 2 a.m. there's going to be good weather. We're going out cleaning.
Yeah.
So they will do that sometimes and up all the way up in the north.
And what do you do with the trash once you've collected it? So you bag it up, leave it with the locals? You obviously can't take it on board with you. You're not,
Yeah.
you're short on space.
No, no, no. So we bag it up. We have bags, and then we actually call waste management facility that will send a container to the areas that we're cleaning, and then we fill up the container, many tons of marine litter, and then we will call the company to take it away. So that's also another thing. It's like we're taking financial responsibility for all of that, and
Yeah.
then it will get properly disposed in a waste management facility.
Oh, that's good. And so you
Yeah.
said you're dealing now with the volunteer staffing aspects of things. What would
Hmm.
make what do you look for in an application? What makes a good volunteer?
Hmm. That's a good question. I think it depends. Like, of course, if somebody that can like physically fit, somebody that likes that respects nature, that likes to spend time outside in nature and does have that experience of like being able, camping, roughing it out a little bit because you do have to have like you have to be okay with not showering sometimes and not having access to like comfort.
Yeah.
It's not always a comfortable job. So I think that is really important that if I
Or
can see like,
privacy.
okay, yes, exactly. Privacy. And somebody that maybe has some experience with like groups and knows like, okay, patience and that sometimes you can get annoyed at each other, but like you just have to step back, like things like that. I also just really like reading the applications on like when they're telling personally why this mission really calls to them. And then we're also look for some special skills. So we are always like happy to have photographers and social media people that can help us with our social media content. Also, if like, if you have like somebody with nursing or with safety and sailing experience. So things like that. It's like a combination.
Do you need a game show host?
Yes. Yeah, we've always like also talked about like we should have a reality TV show. So if you want to be the host.
Oh man. Well, so your first cleanup mission was what you said, 2023. How is your how have your cleanups gone? And, like, what's been the progression like? How's it evolved from the
Yeah.
first one to now?
Yeah, I think with mine, but even also, even if I was there, I can safely like assume like from 2017, just like the scale of it is so much more like I think organized. I mean, with me in 2023, it was organized, but now we have like cleaning areas, we have like GPS trackers, so we can track where the volunteers are. We can like put our hot spots where we know like it's an area that is like accumulated a lot of trash. So there's just like much more protocol, and we're just cleaning in like really cool, really remote areas. And I think also just seeing the visibility, like even when I was there in 2023, like that we've been able to go to Orkney and the UK for the first time and go to the Netherlands and go to Iceland, like it's just growing. And we're picking up so much trash. I mean, we are very efficient. And since 2017, we've cleaned more than 1,700,000 kilograms of marine litter.
Wow. Is it like
Yeah.
a contest to see like who can pick up the most, or it's like it's hard to quantify? They've got a bigger crew, they've got a beach that's got more litter, so they're gonna
Yeah.
pick more. I mean, it's not a contest.
Right. Yeah. I mean, because the areas depend, like in Finnmark, which is the most like north remote area of mainland Norway, there's always more trash and it's more heavy. But within the crew, there can be like, I remember when I
Yeah.
was like a volunteer, like they would kind of tell us, like, okay, you clean this much. And it feels like a personal challenge within yourself,
Mm.
but also like, it's just fun to kind of be like, okay, let's see who can pick up the most,
Yeah.
or who can like
Within your group.
carry the yes, yeah. It's like all fun, and it's crazy though, like how much your own ego comes into play with like, okay, let's see how many trash bags I can carry at once. It's not always the smartest because like probably not very safe for your muscles and stuff, but like you really are like you can just see the volunteers kind of like challenging with themselves, and they're like, no, we are going to stay here if it's the last thing I do.
What's the most trash bags you've been able to carry?
I think four, but they're like, keep in mind, like each trash bag is like 20 to like, no, 10 to like 15 kilos. Sometimes,
Ah.
yeah. And it's really cool to see the progression too of like when you start cleaning and then towards the end of the season, you can just like are so much stronger. And that was, I remember that when I was a volunteer, like, I had never seen that much muscle in myself. And I was like, wow, this is cool. You don't
Yeah.
have to go to the gym. This is a workout.
Yeah. That is a workout. So
Yeah.
you have GPS tracking to like monitor your efforts, right? So how does that work in practice? Like, how are you measuring or like verifying the impact that the teams are having around the coastlines and the places they visit?
Yeah. So usually we equip the volunteers with a GPS and a radio. So then
Mhm.
also the skipper stays on the workboat, obviously, so then picks them up and drops them off, and they're always in contact. And then the GPS, we can see where they're walking, but also every time they fill up one bag, which is approximately 10 kilos, they beep it.
Mm.
So we know where like most trash is accumulated in some areas. So we can also keep track of like, okay, when there's big cracks in an island, that's usually where a lot of trash will accumulate. So we can keep track of which areas are most polluted in Norway. And that also that data is really valuable. We work with a organization in Norway that keeps track of that data because that way it gives us more of an understanding of the issue of, okay, where is this trash? Where are the currents taking this trash? Where does it usually go? And usually also we have like maintenance areas and surveillance areas where within one season we'll go every 3 months to see how much trash has come back.
Yeah.
So then that also kind of gives us roughly an idea of like, okay, how much is this coming back? Where is it coming back? This organization will sometimes sort through our trash to see also if we can see where it's coming from and what
Mm.
type of trash we're finding. To also understand, like we find a lot of gear from the fishing industry. So a lot of like activity, a lot of nets and trawl balls. And that has also kind of allowed us to try to create a dialogue with the fishing industry, not to attack necessarily, but just kind of be like, okay, how can we help? How can you change your methods so then this doesn't keep happening?
Kindly, please just reduce the amount of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing.
Yeah. Or just take some more responsibility. I think we need NGOs that are very loud and that are criticizing, but we've also consciously decided to take the route of, okay, let's try to create a dialogue because we realize a lot of open doors are open for us and we can talk to more people, even if sometimes it can feel frustrating. and it doesn't always feel like a win.
Is there a place, I mean, feel free to not answer this question, but like, is there a place on the map or the routes that you're taking that gets overwhelmed more than anywhere else, season after season?
Yeah, that would be Finnmark, which is
Finnmark.
yeah, so Finnmark is like the most northern part of mainland Norway, and that's where we find the most amount of trash.
So does it
And
like
it's
bottleneck and then all kind of go up, or how does it?
and it's ironic because it's one of the most remote areas. There's barely anybody living there, but because of the coast and they have like these fjords, it just kind of goes in. And with the storms and the path of the Gulf Stream, it's just like it just kind of ends up there. So it's all taken into the beaches, and you find, I think, in one morning they found like 3 tons of marine litter.
Wow.
You also find the heaviest stuff. So that's where you find the most stuff from the fishing industry. So
Right.
it's really, really heavy things. Like the way that we have our results or communicate our results is based on weight. So it doesn't mean that there aren't a lot of single-use plastic and plastic bottles and personal items. It's just that per weight, the nets and the trawl balls end up weighing more. So then we find just more of that per weight.
Yeah. Hey, quick question. So with your volunteers, you've got assumably people that are coming from places where they're supported. They can take some time off work because they're not going to be paid for the 3 months they're going to be with you lot. There's no like subsidiary program where you, I don't know, help them with their rent
No,
whilst they're working for you, just so that they've got a place to go back to. It's all volunteer. No one's getting paid ever.
no, no. So we cover for like once they get to the boat, they just have to cover their transport. Once they get to the boat, then their food and accommodation and is covered. It is something also that like kind of opens up a dialogue of that volunteering work is quite a privileged thing
Yeah.
because we are aware that a lot of people who can take off 3 months, so I think it's also a lot of young people that are in between like their gap year or in between studies and things like that that end up a lot of them coming.
Mm.
But no, unfortunately, we don't have the funding to be able to like pay anybody. But we also find that volunteers that are not paid end up being like more efficient or more motivated than a lot of volunteers that do get paid for beach cleaning. So there are some like paid beach cleaning workers in Norway, but we are by far the biggest actor in Norway and in the Arctic that is cleaning the most amount.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. But so
Yeah.
you're getting paid because you work for the company now.
Yes. Yeah.
So
So there's
have you started stacking now? Is that what you're saying?
Let me started slacking. Yes, yeah, for sure. I no longer beach clean. I'm just like, yeah, I'll just take one bag and leave it for the
Yeah.
volunteers. No, no,
You
no.
get paid per
No, not at
piece.
all. Yeah. No, no. I think also it's like not a lot of us that are full time, and that's also what makes it a little bit challenging because there's so much work to do.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it would be amazing to just have endless funds to like. There's so many people that we need their skills, and it ends up kind of being like 3 of us that are mainly in management that are just like behind the scenes trying to do everything.
Mm.
So also managing like burnout and all of that stuff can be quite challenging. And it's such a shame because I think that's is a theme with NGOs that their workers are there really because they want to and because they care so much about the mission. And that kind of holds you through, but you can burn out pretty quickly. And yeah, but it's amazing. It feels like a family.
Yeah. Well, so what are some of the highs and lows of like a long 3 month stint in terms of the closeness of your family?
Yeah.
How
Oof,
that can be a
yes.
bit, you know, at
Yes.
times.
There are a lot of highs and lows. I think the highs is like you meet the coolest people. Like I have met some of my best friends through in the same boat and people that I know I will be in touch for forever. And being able to sail in the Arctic under the midnight sun in surrounded by mountains and you're seeing whales and then you're like actually making an impact. It's not just talking about it, but you can physically see the trash removed. It's just such a high. Also, when you're with people for that long, only those people understand what you're going through. So you really like get really, really close. And then like you just have so many inside jokes and you like dance and you create songs and that's just so fun. And then the lows, I think it can be really intense I think especially now that I'm working, like work, sleep, and see the same people all the time. Like when you're on the boats, like it just feels like you're on 24 hours. And that can be really exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the company name in because as you said, you're all doing all
Mm.
these things, experience all these highs and lows together. You're literally all in the same boat.
Yep. Yep.
The name is perfect. But
Yeah.
yeah, so you know those other companies that do similar things like you. What's the difference between say yourselves and I mean I know the difference. But what are the
Yeah.
differences
Mhm.
between say yourselves and like the ocean cleanup company
Right. Yeah.
and companies like that?
Um, yeah, I think the biggest difference is like where we are cleaning, even the geography. There aren't really big actors doing what we're doing to the scale of cleaning in these areas because it is so hardcore. I think also like the ocean cleanup, their technology is huge and really expensive. So per cost, we are much more efficient cost wise. The ocean cleanup does great things. And also now they're tackling rivers, which I think is great because that's where a lot of the trash like gets through into the ocean. So I know they're even changing their tactics a little bit. But yeah, but we are cleaning in some of the most remote areas, some of the most hardcore areas with like a low cost compared to other actors. And I think that really sets us apart.
Yes. And what kind of trends have you noticed over the years? Oh, like, well, what has the company noticed in terms of like where, how, and what waste is being generated?
Mm, yeah. So you see regional differences. For example, in the south of Norway, you see more small things, more personal items, a lot of styrofoam. There's still really big amounts, but it's much different than the more north you go. As I said before, the more like big and like fishing industry. So you find a lot of stuff from like marine activity and cans of oil and things like that. So that's like what we can see. But you're finding such an array of things. Like there's times where I find like pieces of dolls and you're like, how did this end up here?
Quite a
Just brands that,
sadistic child,
yes, that's true. I was like, I'm done with this.
like
And
kid,
then
like Sid from Toy Story.
yes, yeah, so true. All of the forgotten toys that you throw away do not disappear. They end up in the Norwegian coastline,
Oh,
being very creepy.
that's Toy Story.
Um,
That's Toy Story 5.
that would actually be very good. We should do a Disney movie on that. A bit sad, but
Yeah,
yes,
there's
all
no
of
happy
the
ending. They don't get really stitched
no.
together. They get molten down.
Yep,
Oh,
yep,
I
yeah.
cried at Toy Story 3.
Yes. Oh my God. I'm
Yeah.
thinking of even like the way that then when I forgot about my toys, I was like, oh my God, this is
Yeah.
so sad.
It was the I tell you what it was, Zamira. It was the moment when Andy he gives his toys to the little girl Bonnie and he's like,
Mm,
look after these guys for me, okay? I was like, we've all been there. We've all done
yeah,
that at some point. And
yeah,
if you don't, then you need to grow up.
yeah. That's true. That's true.
You need to
That's true.
you need to get rid of
Yeah,
your toys.
yeah. Although I will say, the last time in the boat that I was in, one of my friends, one of the volunteers, found a little like troll doll,
Oh,
and we named it Jerry, and then it became the pet of the boat. So, you have fun with that. It's also a bonding moment. And also sometimes we find messages in bottles. So that's always like fun. Like I'm not saying please don't throw plastic bottles in the ocean with messages, even though it's cute, but it does make our day. It does
yeah.
make our day.
Yeah, no, you don't condone it. It's nice when it happens, but please, we're not putting a call to action out there for more people
Yes,
to.
exactly.
Yeah, if you if,
Exactly.
if you want your messages read out, just leave a comment down below.
Yeah,
Right?
yes, exactly. I think
That's
the sentiment is nice, but I think one of our volunteers a few months ago actually found one of like a girl that was 9 and she messaged her back. And it turns out that now she's, I don't know, in her 30s. And this was 20 years ago that she had sent it from the UK. So that
wow.
was pretty cool. And it made news. So if you look it up, it was like in the news worldwide. And that was cool.
Oh yeah, I'm going back in my mind now, just thinking of messages in bottles. The only time I can think of what was used in a Disney film was when that girl who was like basically being held prisoner, she put a message in a bottle and then she tossed it in the ocean. The little girl in the Rescuers.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Oh yeah,
I haven't seen it.
that's a good
Well, we
one.
haven't gotten like a SOS help message
That's
yet,
what it
so that's
was.
good. They're usually cute. They're usually like, I'm from
Yeah.
here's a lot of kids.
SOS in a bottle. I mean, before social media and the internet, it was all you could do. So
Yeah,
now there are other ways.
yeah, of course. Desperate times call for desperate needs.
So dolls and toys and bits of like messages and bottles. Anything else you found that's kind of a bit kooky or whatnot?
Sometimes also we'll find like fridges. or like electronics. Like we found a TV. And it's also insane when we find like things that are that heavy, or like a net that's maybe like 2 tons. And you just realize how much force the ocean has, because this has been washed in. This wasn't just thrown by somebody. This was like washed in by the ocean. And it's insane how much like force it can have to then bring that in a whole fridge. So then, yeah, I think also like maybe a reminder to everybody that like the ocean is not a garbage bin. That's also one of the things that we do with like these coastal communities. They always don't always have the waste management system, and also have maybe an older mentality of like, oh, the ocean's just a bin. So we've seen people throw things in the ocean, like a whole toilet. And you were like, oh, please no, please call us, please.
The
This
ocean
doesn't
is
disappear.
the ocean is not a toilet, nor one to throw your toilets in.
Yep, exactly. It's not, yep, exactly. So yeah, those things are just a little bit odd when you're like this, you're surrounded by mountains and just like incredible nature. And then you're like,
Yeah.
look down and you can hear the plastic bottles and you can like see the fridge and you're like, this is not where it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Do you have,
Yeah.
like, off the top of your head, do you know any like harrowing stats that churn your stomach?
Well, I think that like, especially when it comes to wildlife, and even just like the impact of plastic on us is really scary. Like, it's more than 1 million seabirds a year get killed through like ingestion and entanglement because of marine litter. And that by, I think it was by 2030, I would have to double check, or 2050, that basically all animals or all seabirds will have plastic in their stomach. We're now at like 99%, I think, or something
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
that what was that
So
documentary with the seabirds with the plastic in them?
the albatross, maybe?
Yeah, and the seagulls and yeah, that was horrible. Even the
Yeah.
fish, and they were opening them up, and they were
Yeah.
just bursting with plastic.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
horrible. Was that Seaspiracy or?
Or maybe I haven't seen Suspiracy, but there's another one called Albatross where they did that with an albatross. It died, and then they opened up its stomach contents, and it had like needles, plastic bottles, like just insane things. And I think one of the things that really kickstarted more beach cleaning in Norway was that a few years ago, I think it was around 2017 or a bit before, in the south, a whale washed up and it died. And when they opened it up, it was filled with plastic. So just things like that really are scary. I know that like a lot of animals just mistake plastic for food, and they'll
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
ingest it. And the thing with plastic is that, especially with birds, it'll make them feel like they're full, so they'll stop eating, and then
Ah,
they'll starve to death.
mm.
And
Because
then also,
they can't digest
yeah,
it,
no,
and so it's just sitting there, and they're always full. That's horrible, man.
yeah, yeah, and that's also one of the most heartbreaking parts of our job is when we find nets filled with dead birds, and you're like, yeah, this is especially because in the areas that we're cleaning, which is also why it's even more important, is a lot of bird breeding areas. So you have birds, you have the Arctic tern, that is like the bird that has the longest migration. You have all of these birds that go to other parts of the world. They're not just in the Arctic, and that are breeding here,
Mm.
and they're breeding in plastic. They will use plastic as their nets. And so yeah, so that also kind of motivates, and there's an urgency to it. I think also really quick, another stat that recently there was a paper that showed that microplastics are actually disrupting global photosynthesis of like between 7 to 12%. So our food security is being threatened by microplastics, and I didn't really realize that. Like, oh, of course, microplastic blocks sunlight. So just things like that, that I'm like, this is not an issue just because plastic doesn't look good in nature. This is actually something that is threatening our livelihood and
Mm.
the future for us and for our ecosystems and the wildlife.
Absolutely. Oh, that's a heavy one. Let's try to make it a
Yeah.
little. I'm going to try making it a little bit lighter for a second.
Yes, yeah.
Because you've been around Iceland, you said?
Yes, I haven't, but we did an expedition in Iceland in 2023 where
Okay.
they went.
Is that the home of that stinky fish? Is it
Stinky fish.
the Sturströmmen, something like that?
I don't know. I'm not
Oh,
sure actually.
it's the one where you see people opening the can and they're gagging because the smell
Oh
is too much.
no. No.
Sturströmmen or something like that. Anyway, I tried.
Yeah. No, it's fine, but no, yeah.
Well, let's try to. Okay, if we fail at comedy, we can always try to get back to positive impact.
Yes,
What
that's
are
the
the?
thing. I also want to say that like the stats are sad, but that we do have power to change. Like we can do things. And I think that's important to remember. Like we have so much information and I can tell you about all of the horrible shit that's happening and how plastic is killing us. But it's important to go back to like, okay, what action can we take? And
Mm.
then we do have power. And I think a lot of the times people that don't want things to change make you feel like you don't have power and that your small everyday change won't have an impact, but it does. So I
Mm.
just also want to say
No,
that's important
that's
to
really good.
remember.
I was at a loss for, well, sometimes I would just feel so like insignificant
Yeah.
when I was writing a book that's still not published, and I was
Mm,
researching all of the impacts the cruise industry has, because
yeah.
that's the toughest one. Well, it's the most polluting mode of transport. It's at least three times worse than aviation. It's hard
Wow.
to quantify, because there are so many out there, and how to measure these things. But it is the worst for
Mm,
pollution. But you're the first person I've had on the show from a charity such as
mm,
yourself. Hopefully, I can connect with others, because there's a lot of great
yeah.
companies and charities out there working. And DuckTales isn't just cruise related. It's
Right.
we're going into the third season now. This is where we start to diversify and really
Yeah.
get people from all walks of life to share their stories. And it's
Yeah.
not all glitz and glamour at sea. There's an impact. There's a consequences to our actions.
Yeah.
And you're going to,
Mhm.
outside of your actual efforts to clean, you're going around and you're educating people. What's been
Yeah.
like some of the more like meaningful reactions you've had from local communities that
Mm.
you've gone to educate?
Well, I think like in talking about Norway, I remember last year we went to a really small area, to an island that I love, and we had people on board. We do a lot of like in the same boat waffles, so have people on board for Norwegian waffles, which is very popular and our thing to go to kind of like lure people in, and then we can give them our spiel of sustainability. But that I remember the locals coming in and just being like, "Thank you for cleaning our home. Like it just looks so much nicer." And then bringing in like they had made us like hand knitted socks, and it's just little things like that that you're talking with the humans. And another one that when you said that reminded me was this in April when we were in the UK. We went to a school and we gave a presentation to like 180 kids, and they were from 7 to 11 years old, and they were so engaged and asking questions and just really aware and like really wanted to know like, oh, what is happening, and just like we're so interested, and that just like warmed my heart. Like I just remember leaving there and being like, yes, these are the people that we want to talk to, because these are the future generations. And to just see them like, oh my god, I don't want my home to be in trash. Or we asked them, what does the ocean mean to you, and they were like, it makes me feel calm and happy. And it's like, this is so beautiful. Like we need to have a stronger relationship to nature and not just see it as something that we just take resources out of it.
Mm.
So I think things like that, like especially with kids, sometimes with companies, it can be a bit like they're like, oh, I just feel like they're not really listening, or that maybe they're just doing it to look good. And that can not always. There's like some great companies that we worked with, and that I think is sometimes a bit harder for me. But yeah, these like small communities, and yeah,
Was
they're
there
great.
like, do you give them reading material? Do you make them watch a specific documentary, or is it all just off your own backs?
Yeah, yeah, it's mainly off our own backs. Like we are kind of now developing a curriculum, so maybe we can kind of create an education toolkit for in the same boat for schools. But we usually go in with like a presentation, and we have like videos and from us that we've created that we show them and things like that.
Nice. And is
Yeah.
there, I'm assuming there are you part of it? The plans to expand, what are they?
So our big dream is like we really say that we specialize in cleaning the Arctic and north of Europe, and we would love to do the Arctic in like Canada and Alaska. So we know that Canada has also similar issues with like hard accessibility and the remoteness, and also a lot of fishing industry and just hard terrain. So there is a lot of trash there as well, and we know that like our methodology could be replicated. So going over there is like the really big dream. Being able to sail to Canada would be so cool, and just have our own fleet over there.
Yeah. And you mentioned
It's
earlier,
amazing.
like it's amazing, obviously the scope of the work you do, it's endless. There's so
Hmm.
much to tackle, and it can be overwhelming. And you said
Yeah,
about, you need to mitigate the effects of burnout at times, because it's just so
yeah,
much. What do you do personally to tackle that problem?
yeah. That's a good question. I think like I always kind of have to go back to really what's in front of me and what I can like. do and the people around me. If I go too much to the big picture, it's really easy for my brain to be like, what we're doing doesn't matter. We're not making an impact. Nothing is changing. So it's just kind of bringing back to be like, okay, what is it that you're doing right now? Like, I can see, for example, my mom, since I started working, she has changed some of her habits with the amount of plastic that she uses at home, telling other people, buying more, like, investing in things that are more durable in small businesses. And that I have to hold on to that. Like, I'm having an impact to at least one person. There's people around me, the volunteers, that are so dedicated and in giving their life to this. And I just have to hold on to that to be like, yes, we are making progress, and not feel so burned out. But I think also it's important, like, not to feel, it's really easy to feel really guilty when you're, I guess, an activist or working in NGO for like having your own life or enjoying your own life. And it's just working. Like, sometimes I need to distance myself. Sometimes I need to like just cut it out and just like dissociate, like watch a shitty TV show or go dancing with my friends or go out to dinner and not think about the environment for like a few hours to recharge, because if not, it's just exhausting.
Or go to a place or a part of nature that isn't polluted.
Yes, exactly. And I think also sailing helps with that. When we're out cleaning and it can be really overwhelming, and then you're out sailing in like beautiful seas. Well, sometimes beautiful, because also there's many times where it's raining and cold and it's like, it's the Arctic. You're like, oh, this is like, I'm excited for the day that I sail in the Mediterranean. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I see why people like really do this so often, because there are times where you're like, no, this is so, when will I ever not be cold while sailing? But anyway, it does give you energy.
What's like life on board in terms of well, there's no privacy, so I'm guessing
Yep.
everything is above board. There's no shenanigans such as hookups and things of that nature. Like, you see, I don't watch these shows. Like Below Deck.
Below Deck.
Yeah, you said
Honestly,
it at the same time as me, basically.
It's fun.
It's what is that show about? Because I've never watched it. I don't watch Love Island either, because I feel like those kind of shows, they are made for TV. It's dramatized reality. It's not real drama.
That's true. Well, I feel like Below Deck, you should get somebody from Below Deck on to enter your podcast, because yes, it's definitely like there is drama, but like you get to see them working in like super sailing yacht, and like sometimes the guests can be assholes, and it is quite entertaining, I will say.
A lot of them, like the cruise ship members, they have very strong NDAs, so they are not allowed to do this. But yeah, I offer anonymity. It's there for people to do.
That's true. But I feel like Below Deck, like, since they show everything, they must like, they're like, whatever.
More or less.
but yeah, we've definitely had people like volunteers that end up dating, and things like that. I mean, you always have your like drama moments. So we do always joke like this could be a reality TV show for sure, as well. So yes, there's always like the romances, sometimes, not always, sometimes on board. But I think like on board, you create a really nice environment where we all work together.
So more brothers and sisters, siblings kind of friendships.
Yeah. But again, there has been the in the same boat couples that were always like, will there ever be an in the same boat baby? Hopefully.
That kid's not going to have much of a childhood. Straight, as soon as he's walking, he's
for trash. As he should. Yeah. All the toys will be from the beaches that we clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sort of thing you've got down to a T. You keep your funny business to the side.
Yes.
Once your cleanup has concluded, then you can go and do all that. Is there like a secret ocean cleanup initiation rite, or like a that kind of you have to do this to be kind of one of the guys type of thing?
Yes. Well, okay. Yes and no. It's not really as strict, and it's only now mainly on one boat where like the founder is Rolf. But I had to do this when I was a volunteer, sorry. And we were given like this bottle. We had to take a shot of this undisclosed liquor, and everybody was being very mysterious. And I was like, okay, I'm guessing it's just really strong liquor. And I was like, guys, please tell me, like, is this going to be really bad? And they were just like, you just have to have it. We have a video.
Is it paint stripper?
No, it is like the spiciest. It's like ghost pepper, like liquor or something like that.
Oh, that
And
sounds
we were
fun.
not told. And we have a video, like I just started tearing up, and everybody was like coughing, and it's just the worst. But no, we don't haze our volunteers. Um,
Sounds like
we just
hot
yeah.
ones at sea.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God, it was so bad.
Except you don't ramp up every shot. You just go straight into the spiciest.
Yep. And you're not told it's gonna be spicy. You're just like, good luck. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
And the arguments that ensue on board, are they ever just like unresolvable and you have to kind of take people back, or is everything pretty much sorted out there and then?
Yeah. In general, it's sorted out there and then. Like, of course, there's been a couple of times where maybe the conclusion has been like, hey, maybe it's not a good fit for you to be here. But usually, like, it's just normal things of like when you're living together in a small place, like people can just get annoyed and it can be really intense and like the emotions are heightened. So it's usually very well like handled in the boat and it's never anything super dramatic. Throughout this, since 2017, there's been like the few dramatic moments, but in general, it's nice. Everybody's willing to kind of communicate and things like that.
Yeah, arguments stemming from simple things like arguing over who's picking the music and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's the biggest one.
Yeah,
People,
yeah.
we really get intense over that, but yeah, it's all fun and games. It's all fun and games.
Who's the worst cook on board? Oh, who's the best? What's the worst thing you've been served by somebody?
Okay, I haven't been served super bad things. We do eat a lot of porridge in the morning, and people get very tired of that very quickly.
Yeah.
And there's definitely the levels of being able to how to cook porridge vary. Sometimes you're served what feels like a brick, and you're like, "Oh, thank
Thank
you,
you.
thank you so much." And you can just see people adding a lot of sugar and just a lot of like Nutella. But it's also cool to see like sometimes we've had people that are like 18 and it's like their first time kind of figuring out how to be adults by
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's always interesting where you're like, this is how do you do laundry?
Yeah.
But it's also cool because there's a lot of personal growth and in general,
Yeah.
people figure it out. You cook, yeah. There's some good cooks. I've had some good meals. We get
No-
creative. You have
noth-
to get creative.
Nothing that's been like unedible, inedible.
No, I just think of the porridge sometimes where I've just had to add a lot of milk. And even me myself that I've like fumbled on the porridge and you're like, oh, but no, nothing unedible, at least for me.
You said about it should be a reality show. If it was, what would it be called? And
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
who would be its breakout star?
that's a
C-
good question.
the CEO. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe Rolf. Yeah, Rolf has so many stories and has lived so many lives. So I think he would be the most interesting person to talk to.
I guess it would just be,
Yeah.
it'd be a crime not to just call the documentary In the Same Boat, right? That was.
That's true. That's true. Or like it would be cool, like the special forces of nature, because we're always like
Ooh,
we're hardcore guys. We have
yeah,
like
yeah.
we like drive fast our work boats and we have like cool gear. We're not just like some fun kids. It's not summer camp. It
It's
is,
like
but it's not.
you're like your superheroes in your own right. You're not the A team with Mr. T. You're not the B team. You're the C team.
Yep. That was good. Actually, that was really good.
Always
That was
ticking,
good.
always ticking.
Yep. Yeah, gotta be on always. Yes, for sure.
Has anyone tried to use any of those fish nets that you've pulled in out of the ocean and repurpose it as a hammock?
Okay,
What's the sleeping
not
situation on board?
so we have cabins, and we share cabins.
Right.
So they're actually quite nice. They're definitely cozy, but they're quite nice. There's been a few people have brought their own hammocks and have like slept outside when we've been too many people.
Mm.
There's also been a couple of times where people have had to like camp. Or I know like up in Finnmark, we didn't have like the boat had to go somewhere else and we had a team staying at a school for a little bit and they were hardcore. They were cleaning a lot. But using a net as a hammock, no, but we have repurposed nets. We have like I have a bracelet made out of
Oh, that's
fishing
cute.
net that
Yeah.
we picked up and we've used it to like decorate our educational stands and sometimes they're pretty. Sometimes you find useful things that people keep. I think last year a volunteer found a pair of shoes that were each a different size but they were really in good condition and he wore them and he took them home with him.
What was like a size 6 and a size 12 or so?
No, I think it was like close enough where he was like, this could work. Or like sun caps. I think people have like brought them and like just washed them and it works well. So
Well, have you picked up anything that was like, oh, this is like a brand new PlayStation 5 or something? It works perfectly fine. Oh, of course not.
I wish an iPhone. Yeah, I found my phone there.
Did you
No, no,
actually? Have you,
no,
you
no,
you found
no.
anything cool that you kept? What about things that you found you're like, is this a murder weapon? Or like evidence of a crime? Something that's like
Um,
evidence that should be turned into the police.
yeah, not quite, but there are a lot of moments that and I know I've talked with the volunteers where I'm like, what if we found a dead body? Like
Yeah,
this
I
would
was
be the
about to
perfect
ask
place.
you that.
Yeah, perfect place for somebody to bury somebody because it's in the middle of nowhere. Like we're probably the first ones on those islands in many years. So I always like have this intrusive thought of like getting scared of like I find a shoe and I'm like this better not be connected to a
Yeah.
body.
Have you
But
seen
no,
Have you seen Operation Mincemeat?
no.
Do you know Colin Firth, the actor?
Yes.
Yeah, it was a film that came out a few years ago, and it's basically about how they want to drop a dead body in Nazi kind of waters, so they are essentially planting a cadaver with false information so that they are given the wrong intelligence, and
Oh,
they strategize around what they found on the dead body. And
oh,
it's,
interesting.
yeah, Operation Mincemeat.
Okay.
It's a fun film for all the family.
Yeah. Oh, great. Yeah, sounds really appropriate. Yeah, no, but that sounds interesting. What we have found though is that there are still some bombs, especially up in the north from World War II,
Oh wow.
where they're like we do get kind of told before like our operations to just be like if you find anything like send us a picture and if it looks suspicious like don't go near it, don't touch it. And there's been a couple of times where we've just called the authorities so they deal with it.
Mm.
But there are still kind of like bombs from World War II in some places.
Yeah. Well, they've been deactivated if they've been underwater for long enough, I assume.
Well, they're not in the water. They're like in the
Oh,
coastline because we're cleaning up like what gets put in from the ocean into the actual part of the land. So
right.
there is a lot of trash that sinks that we can't get to, but it's kind of gets washed in. So they're in land.
Mm.
So you don't really know, I guess. I don't think they've been all deactivated.
No, no, I guess not. Is there an official motto or a catchphrase you all embody like every day before you start your day?
Not so much. Let's just no. I think within in the same boat.
Go team, plastic fantastic or something. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, yeah. No, but we're like, come on, we got this. But also, I think it's funny when you said that. Maybe it's not an encouraging motto, but it's just kind of like plans are made to be changed. That's kind of the motto of in the same boat. Like you just have to be flexible. Things change. Teams are plans. So we're just kind of like, you get really good at being able to adapt quickly to situations. But we don't have a specific phrase that we tell. Like, I guess just sometimes go team is good enough. Good luck. Have a good picking day.
If you've got any other suggestions, guys, stick them down in the comments below.
Yes. Yeah. What can we do to really, yeah, get motivated?
So what are you wearing when you're on the beach cleanup? Are you wearing protective gear? I'm assuming you have to have some heavy duty gloves of sorts.
Yeah.
And boots.
So we're wearing, well, we don't always wear a base layer of wool because it can get really hot actually,
Yeah.
but we do usually have like a base layer of like top and bottom of like wool or just something to kind of protect us. And then we have like rain pants, rain gear. That are like they're Helly Hansen, so you see them a lot also for like fishermen and things like that. And then you have a rain jacket, and then you have usually rain boots because you can get like there's a lot of rotten seaweed that sometimes we go through, and you know you have like the water that sometimes you have to wade through and things like that. And then we always wear a life jacket because you're by the coast, and we have had instances of people falling in the water or even getting too close, and then a wave comes in and just washes them in.
Wow.
Nothing like super dangerous here.
The whole time you're wearing your life jacket, I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's quite a thin like life jacket. Like it's just like the typical ones that then when they hit water, they like pop up.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's not like.
Yeah. When you said that, my immediate go-to thought was the types of life jackets people get on cruise ships, the really bulky, cumbersome ones. I was like, no one's picking up plastic and all day, every day wearing those things.
No. That would be horrible. No. So they just get activated when they have water. But yeah, for safety purposes. And then we have like our fanny packs with a picking knife because sometimes the ropes are really stuck, and bags and our GPS and radios. That's kind of and gloves. That is the uniform in the same boat.
But so what happened when somebody initially, well, more than one occasion, got swept out to sea and they were wearing the life jacket? They weren't, and now that's why you have them?
Yeah. That's our we always tell that story. No, yeah. Yeah, it's happened before where people just like it's really slippery, so it's really easy to slip. Like we've also had people like break their hands, or like some girl last year dislocated her shoulder because it is hardcore terrain. Like it's not easy to walk in. So then I think also this season somebody was like trying to get into the workboat or out or something. They got in a little bit too close, and then if you're not used to that terrain or not used to being by the water as much, it was a new volunteer, a wave just came in and like washed them in. But it wasn't like anything dramatic. It was very quick to get them on top of the
Oh,
on
that's good.
board. But it is something
Yeah.
to take serious. Man overboard exercises, we always practice them. We are constantly going through these protocols because, it's you have to respect where you are.
Yeah.
It's not a joke to see.
But so do you, with the vessels that you're on, they're quite small, but is there an evacuation procedure drill? If the boat's
Yeah.
going down, you have a lifeboat, I'm assuming.
Yeah. We have rafts on all the boats.
Yeah, life rafts, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that will also kind of depend how many people we can have on board, depending on the capacity of the life raft. But yeah, we have that. Usually, for example, when we were crossing the North Sea, our skipper, like we just kind of had a briefing. So we did a fire drill where we had to do a fire drill blindfolded. We were in our cabins pretending to be asleep and we were blindfolded. And then she turned on the alarm and we had to get out of the boat blindfolded to kind of get to know the boat and where you're going. We had a man overboard exercise we do them sometimes with the people themselves with the dry suits, but also with like fenders. Yeah, if we have to evacuate the boat, we give roles. So like I had to be the one that got all the dry suits out. Somebody else gets the grab bag. So we also make a grab bag with our passports and just a little bit of food, everything ready in case something happens.
What's the first thing you do when you're getting ready to jump in the life rafts?
Well, you have to. I mean, if it's like a different team.
This is a quiz now. This is me.
This is the quiz.
This is me testing you. I remember this from the drills of boarding the lifeboats or the life rafts, and they stressed it was a very important thing. Before you board the life raft or the life boats, what's the first thing you do?
The first thing you do before the life raft. Well, I guess you have to make sure that they are going to find you. So like you have to pin. I'm going to fail this test. I hope none of my colleagues watches this. They're going to be like, "Oh, Zamira, come on." But I feel like okay, once you get in the life raft, then you have to. You're there with everything with this safety equipment.
You have to take something.
Are you talking about like the EPIRB?
EPIRB? What's an EPIRB?
Yeah.
Now I'm getting quizzed.
Because that's one of the rules that we have is somebody takes the EPIRB, which is basically this kind of like machine that if you submerge it underwater, it immediately sends our location.
Okay, right.
So then they know where this
That's not what I meant by you take something.
Okay, just tell me.
You take a seasickness tablet.
Oh, really? Okay. Actually, I was not told that. Okay.
Well, because the point of that is that if you think it's bad on board a ship or a vessel or whatever, once you get into the life raft, that you're bobbing around a lot more. And if one person throws up inside because they haven't taken their seasickness tablet, then everyone's going to get very sick very quickly, and you can all get very dehydrated, and you lose vital fluids.
Yeah, that makes sense. So,
add it in the curriculum.
Yeah. See, we do have seasickness. We do take them with us. They're in our grab bag. So that's good.
If you take them like whilst you're already on the water, they don't have as much effect. So you've got to take them before, so they have a chance to take an effect.
Right. As you're getting ready. That's also something that I think before I was on a boat, when I thought of a sinking vessel, I thought like, oh, it just sinks. Like you have to like rush, and that's not the reality. Like,
it depends on how big the crash is and stuff.
Of course. But in general, usually, most likely than not, you can be in your vessel sinking. Like it's actually better to stay. The last resort should be leaving the boat, because once you're on the life raft and if you get disconnected, it's so much harder for them to find you. So that was also something that I didn't realize. Like you sometimes usually have time.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, fingers crossed you never have to take your seasickness tablets.
Yes.
If you could recruit a mythical sea creature to help with your ocean cleanup efforts, what would it be?
A mythical sea creature. I feel like, the first thing that I thought of would be like the Kraken. Because I feel like we could probably feed all the trash to the Kraken, or like also it would be able to be very efficient with like picking up So that would be nice.
Something with
If we could
tentacles.
just something with tentacles would be nice, I think.
What's your boat's spirit animal? Is there something? These are quite
animal.
these are out there kind of clutching at straws questions.
No. So it depends. I think the one that I've spent most time is Bris, and it's my favorite, which is because it's very cozy and it feels like home because it's been the boat that I've been on the most. And I would say that it's spirit animal. Maybe some people won't agree of the people that have been on Bris, but I feel like it's giving like sea turtle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What, like from Finding Nemo? Hey dude. Has he got hippie vibes?
Yes, it does have hippie vibes. We have fairy lights inside, so yeah.
That'll be why then. It's gone straight for that. Is it like a bit of a hippie commune on board sometimes when people get their guitar out and they start singing Kumbaya?
We play a lot of music. We have a lot of musicians on board. So yes, jam sessions are an in the same boat must.
So those are one of the things that you look for on an application form. Must be able to jam.
Yes, must be able to play more than one instrument. Yeah.
Or four chords.
Yes, at least.
Well, so
Yeah.
this has been great because it's like I said, you're the first person I've spoken to from a charity organisation that's doing amazing work, and
Thank you.
may it continue. May the company flourish and go on to do so much more good work, not just in the sense of cleaning, but educating everyone else as well. So yeah, just thank you so much for giving us some of your time
Thank
today,
you.
Amira. And good luck with the next cleanup. Where are you going to next?
Thank you. I will we're now in like the north of Norway. We have all boats all over, but I'm going to be in an expedition in September that goes to the Netherlands. So I will be crossing the North Sea again.
Nice.
And everybody like who listens, thank you for having me here, Sam. But also if you want to follow In the Same Boat on Instagram, we are very, very active. So you can see our adventures, and on YouTube as well.
Lovely. All right, my dear. Well,
Thank you so much.
Smooth sailing out there, and make sure you take your seasickness tablets with you, just in case.
Yes. That's true. I will.
Anyway.
I'll never forget that. Thank you so much.
Lovely to meet you, speak to you, and hear all of your amazing work. Seriously, it's a very important job you're doing, and please don't stop.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
No
Good luck
problem.
with the endeavor.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you so much. Bye.
So there you have it. That wraps it up for this episode of Deck Tales. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've been entertained by the tales of laughter, camaraderie and the occasional stormy sea, then don't forget to like, subscribe and leave a comment. There are lots of other shows out there to compete with, so if you are enjoying Deck Tales, why not help us out by going over to Spotify or Apple and dropping us a 5-star rating. This will boost the show's visibility and help to attract new listeners every week. Before I sign off, if you'd like to share your own stories for future episodes, then I'd love to hear from you. Simply get in touch over the socials, because after all, the best stories often come from our listeners. As we navigate through the waters of life, remember to enjoy the journey as much as the destination, as well as those you choose to share the adventure with. I've been your captain, Sammy Catlin. Until next time, fair winds, smooth sailing, and may your adventures be as unforgettable as those shared here on Deck Tales. Bon voyage!